Well, here we are, whip versus short line fishing. We're going to do a half-hour time trial just to see which comes out on top and which is the fastest. So let's get down there and put it to action. Now the mix I'm going to use today for pole versus whip is Sonia bait So Natural, black roach, black and sweet skimmer, as you can see there. And what I'm going to do is, it's going to be a bag of black roach, a bag of black, half a bag of sweet skimmer. That sweet skimmer just gives it, I suppose, that sweet flavour, you could say, although it probably tastes different to the fish, but it's been a mix I've been using for quite some time and I just absolutely love it. But because it's still warmish, I'm going to add some more food value, and that's just plain brown crumb. So I'm probably going to put a third of a bag of brown crumb in that mix as well. I'll mix that up dry together. First of all, I know a lot of you guys use drills. I use drills when I'm out in Ireland, but when I'm over here on the natural venues, I just like to use my hands and then riddle it. So let's mix it up dry. Add some water to it. Always you add the water to the dry mix, never the ground bait to the water. And you can smell that sweet skim, it's absolutely gorgeous. And I'll mix it up, I'll just over damp it, because the brown crumb will soak up quite a bit of water as well. You know, sometimes when I've mixed it up, even if I've mixed it up the night before, I've had to add a little bit more water to it because the brown crumb really soaks up the water. So I'll mix that up. And what I normally do, if I mix it up in the morning, as you've seen what I've done, I'll do that as soon as I get to my peg. Leave it for say 10 minutes, 15 minutes maximum, loosen it all up, maybe add just a little bit more water and then riddle it off. So I'm going to leave that to stand just for a few minutes. I'll come back to it and I'll add just a little bit of water. You don't want it too dry. Worst thing to do is try and feed it through your session or match, and you know your mix is too dry and it's not going to work properly. You want it to, that you can make balls with it, and also if I want to put it in loose, I know it's heavy enough to go down, or it's damp enough. If it's too dry and there's flow, it can just carry your fish off. Very important, that. Okay, now I've left that to stand. I'll just loosen it up, and just my hand, I'll just add a little bit more water to it. Not too much. I just want it the right consistency. But anyway, it's damp enough to make balls to go down. If I put it in loose, it will go down. I don't want it too dry, and I don't want to be messing about with it during the match, which takes up time when I'm catching to mess around to get the mix right. Right, now I'm going to pour that into a bowl here. And I'll riddle it. And I'll show you when, if you're not riddling, even when you do it with a drill, you can get lumps. See those lumps there? That if they was in the midst, the fish could easily get filled up on them. I'll just push those through. So you waste nothing, and it all gets pushed through. Do that with the whole mix. Push the lumps through again. As you can see, I'm just pushing them through the riddle. All pushed through. Then you're left with a lovely, fluffy, damp mix. And what I'll do for my session, I'll take out what I think I'm going to need, say for the first third of the match. Here's my bowl. One more. That'll leave it aside of me. And then all I'll add to that is a few handfuls of Sonia baits ready, prepared hemp in a can. Not loads. And then these lovely pinkies that we'll be using. I'll just loosen them all through there. Don't want loads in there, just enough, because I'll loose feed a few over the top. Just enough to go down to the bottom and keep the fish occupied. You know, I'd like to catch them like gudgeon really on the bottom. It's quicker and faster. If you catch them through the water, you can miss bites, it becomes a little bit, but some days you've got to catch through the water. But we'll see how we go through this session. But yeah, there's the mix. Quite simple. I can make a nice ball, squeeze as hard as I want so it'll go down, and it will break up fine on the bottom as the fish attack it. All that's to be done now is pull it into action. Right, as you've seen, I've just put in 3 balls of ground bait, laced with some pinkies and hemp, not loads of pinkies. I'm going to start on the whip. I'm going to do 30 minutes, see what I catch in 30 minutes, and then short line it and see, and just see what the difference is. But I had a little look, there's plenty of fish there, so we'll just see what the outcome is. So I'll start the stop clock, and we'll see what I catch. Here we go. I've got a 3/4 gram rig on here, 0.10 to a 16. I'll start on double pinky and just feel my way through. Hopefully, we'll see what's quickest. That's a bit of roach, that is. You lovely fish. Probably 5 ounce, that fish. Incredible. I think you can hear the geese. I'm fishing here. It's on the old Nene at March. And we're by Wigston Bridge. A little rudd that time. It's so much quicker when you're in, you get a bite and you get a fish. But the only thing that goes through my mind when I'm doing a time trial is if I was short lining it now, I'm sure I'd have had more fish. But time will tell. In the 2.5 hour time trials, we'll see. But you're in and out much quicker than shipping back. So I'm fishing again straight away. I haven't had to ship out, take the sections off. That was a good fish. Just trying to keep you, when you flick it out, over your ground bait. If you're elastic, you'd have to net that, but it's a 3/4 gram rig. I've got 0.10 hook length. I've got a 16 hook on. You can always scale down, but here at March, the first first few matches, you know, we're fishing here in November and it's still warmish. Oh, that's a better fish. It's lovely fishing here, and it's free fishing. Just got to remember to keep clicking these fish out. We won't get the right time. So that was 2, I didn't click the last one. The quality of these fish, absolutely unbelievable. Superb fishing. The difference, short line is so precise, you're over your ground bait, you can lift it, you can drop it. With a whip you just got to get it in the right position over your ground bait, but you can't really twitch it, you can't lift it, drop it. Well, we're 18 minutes in, and I've got 26 fish on the clicker. I've had some cracking, I had to net a couple, had some cracking fish. But what I feel now is, I haven't got the presentation that I want where I could just lift it a bit or drop it. Look at that fish, what a roach, beautiful. I just haven't got the presentation to lift and drop. Once you're in with a whip, you can just drag it towards you a little bit. You're sort of limited to what you can do. I have tried keeping the pinkies on as long as possible, but you must change them. It's amazing when I put 2 fresh pinkies on, the bite is much quicker, or seems much quicker. But I just feel it waning a little bit to when I first started on it. And I get a little indication I can't move it or adjust it. But it's cracking fishing, absolute cracking fishing. My favourite venue's March. It's never lets you down, always full of fish. I mean, we only fish it sort of October through to March, and there's fish in it all summer, but it's just very weedy. Just full of fish all year round. And I've said it's free fishing. It's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. When I first started, it was flowing a little bit. It's just easing off now, slowing down. As it's slowing down, it's not quite as good. Well, we got 20 seconds left. I'm on 40 fish. So that would be, if it carried on like that for 5 hours, that would be 80, that'd be 500 fish in 5 hours, which would be a silly weight. The size of the roach's average stamp has been unreal. There we are, finish on that. Right, let's unlock this fish. So that was 41 fish. Let's just hook this up. That whip down there. I'll show you then. It's 30 minutes and 14 seconds, that's where I was mucking around there, but 41 fish. You can see that. Those 41 fish I don't know what they would weigh. I swung out quite a few 6 to 8 ounce fish. Ridiculous. I think if that was, so that's 5, 20 in 2.5 hours, that's 400 fish that would be in 5 hours. And it may get better or not as good. Short lining over 5 hours would not be that quick. But we'll do a time trial now, half hour. I'll put in a couple of balls of groundbait again. I'll fish it exactly the same as I did the whip, loose feed pinky, but I can lift and drop with short lining, and we'll see how many I get. So it's 41 for 30 minutes on the whip. Let's see what I can catch now short lining. Okay, so I've just seen a couple of balls. I'm going to keep it the same as the whip, what I've done with the whip. I'm going to loose feed for half hour and just see if short line comes out on top. Personally, 41 fish, we'll see. We'll give it a go. So here we go. Let's start the clock. Here we go. Obviously with short line I can drop it straight over my ground bait. I've got half gram float on here, they're square shots just in a bulk. It has started to move now, it wasn't moving before when I was on the whip, so whether that will affect it I don't know. It's a shame it wasn't still like it was on the whip, but there's the first fish. Now I've got to net that, I'd have swung that on the whip, which is all taking time. And unlike on the whip, on the short line, I've got to ship out. But I'm the same distance out as I was on the whip. All the time I'm just thinking while I'm fishing, I've got to be quicker because it's all dead time. Unlike on the whip, you flick it in, you're out. In and out. On the pole you've got to ship back, unship. But the presentation is much better. I can feel it now that I'm just total control, where I can lift and drop it over my ground bait, even though it's just flowing through. Well, we're now 17 minutes in and I'm on 22 fish. I did have a snag that cost me about 30-40 seconds, but yeah, the presentation's much better on this. It has started flowing, so I can present it a lot better as well as I was on the whip, but it's certainly quicker, but it doesn't get them in quicker. So I've just got to be so much quicker trying to beat that number on the whip, although I thought it'd be a tall ask. Lovely stamp roach, beautiful fish. It is flowing more though. was virtually still when I was fishing the whip. You know, it's moving through quite fast actually. So it's just a fisher bung. Absolutely awesome. Oh, Augusta, little silver bream. First one I've had. Didn't have one on the whip. Awesome fishing, absolutely awesome. As I would say, simply lovely. Well, we're nearly 30 minutes and we're on 35, but I've had a little bit of a nightmare. You know, to snag, 2 snags, 3 or 4 drop off. Time for one more drop in. Time there. Go on, get under. Let's click that last fish. That's it, right. Fish on, so to speak. Right, so that'll be 30 minute short line. And how many do you think? How many do you think? Just wipe my hands so I'll drop that clicker. So 30 minutes short lining. It started to flow. Presentation much better. I could feel the presentation much better than the whip, but the whip is much quicker once you come at getting them out. But I've had 36. You see that there? I've hooked a snag and I've hooked another branch that I had to pull in. I've had 3 or 4, I had 1 come from the whip, 3 or 4 come from the whip. It would have been neck and neck with a perfect half hour on the short line. So, stamper fish. I started on the whip. They're a better stamp on the whip that I caught. Now, whether that is when you swing a whip in, you're coming back in on yourself, over your ground bait, over your feed. With a short line, you're dropping it straight over your feed and running it. You can lift and drop it and move it along. You can't really do that on the whip. But both, oh, unbelievable. Now, you're talking 350 fish on short lining, 400 on the whip, have a perfect match. Could be awesome, but it just shows that if the wind had been a nightmare, short line's much better. But if you can present it on a whip, it definitely is faster, it's quicker, you can get the fish out quicker. And I fished a 4.5 metre whip there. If you could fish a 3.5 metre whip, even quicker. Yeah, that's interesting. That is. I thought that the whip, 41 fish on the whip, 36 short lining, 5 fish difference. I thought it'd be a bigger difference than that short lining. So, well, I even enjoyed that because I certainly have. That's an eye opener. But a different day, the numbers would be different. If presentation's needed, I personally believe short lining. If presentation isn't needed, it becomes a race, then it's got to be the whip. But 2 very close, fishing the same rigs really, just so it's better to control it on the whip. It's 3/4 gram as opposed to 1/2 gram on my short lining. But definitely a whip will outperform short lining if presentation allows. And then if presentation doesn't allow, you've got a short line. But the main thing is not to be preoccupied on the whip, where you're missing bites, you're not presenting it right. Whereas if you've got on the short line, it's more positive. It's just getting it right on the day. And hopefully, this short video you've seen in these conditions, same angler, different tactics, how they performed against each other. I've certainly enjoyed it. I hope you have. Let's see the fish and put them back. Well, we was going to have a look at the fish, but in the old polyway, I wanted to have another go. So I've had a go, shallow where I've been loose sealing pinkies, come up in the water just to see if the same stamp fish were coming up for the pinkies off the ground bait. No, lots of small fish, that big. I had about 15 minutes. Although I did catch a perch that I put in the net, about 12 ounce, 14 ounce. But that's obviously off the bottom after the small fry that are after the pinkies. I just thought that better stamp might be up in the water because then it'd be much quicker on the whip. Because I'm here on a match the weekend, I just from my own knowledge I wanted to see, but no, those better fish are down on that ground bait. Loose feeding that pinky just keeps the fish coming in, keeps them active, keeps the small fish up and the better fish below. So we'll have a look at the fish now. Well, there are, there's probably 15, 16 pound there. That's in an hour and probably 10 minutes fishing because I caught that perch after we stopped filming, after half hour. Unbelievable. Beautiful fishing, whip versus pole, awesome session. Let's get them back in the water.